Welcome, students. Let's continue our chapter Matter in Our Surroundings. So far, we have discussed how can we change the state of matter. We have discussed that we can change the state of matter either by changing the temperature or by changing the pressure. Now, let's talk about evaporation. See, students, when a liquid is left exposed to air, its volume decreases gradually, right? This is due to evaporation. In this process, what happens? Some of the liquid that is at the surface that turns into vapor, that turns into gas, and mixes with the gases in the air. So, when a liquid turns into vapor, turns into gas, it is said to evaporate. So, we can say that evaporation is a process of a liquid changing into vapor even below its boiling point. That is evaporation. So basically, evaporation can take place even at room temperature, though it is faster at higher temperature, but it can take place at room temperature. And it's actually a surface phenomena because whatever because the particles present at the surface that evaporates. So, whatever be the temperature at which evaporation takes place, latent heat of vaporization must be supplied whenever a liquid changes into vapor. So, basically, we have to supply latent heat of vaporization to change the liquid into vapor. See, the wet cloths that dry due to evaporation of water present in them, right? And rainwater puddles also dry up because of evaporation of water. In fact, common salt that is recovered from seawater also that is also by the process of evaporation. So we can say that some particles in a liquid always have more kinetic energy than the others. So even when a liquid is well below its boiling point, some of its particles have enough kinetic energy to break the forces of attraction between the particles and then escape from the surface of the liquid in the form of vapor. So the fast moving particles of a liquid are constantly escaping from the liquid to form vapor. So that is why it's known as surface phenomena. Because particles from the surface, particles that are present on the surface, they are having that much of energy to break the forces and escape. Okay, so now the evaporation of a liquid that depends on mainly on the following factors, that is temperature, surface area, humidity, and wind speed. So we can say that the we can change the rate of evaporation, or the rate of evaporation changes because of the change in these factors, either in temperature or surface area or humidity or wind speed. So let's discuss these factors in detail. Let's first talk about the increase in the surface area of the liquid. See, the rate of evaporation increases on increasing the surface area of a liquid. So if the surface area of liquid exposed to air is increased, rate of evaporation of liquid increases. So if the same liquid, say suppose it's kept in a test tube and in a china dish, then the liquid kept in the china dish that will evaporate more rapidly because more of its area is exposed to air. So in fact, in our everyday life, you have often seen that we spread out the washed bedclothes while drying. Why? Just to increase their surface area for rapid evaporation of water that is present in the cloths. So which leads to quicker drying of wet cloths. In fact, after rain, wet roads dry quickly because the rainwater is spread over a large area of the road. Okay, so this gives the particles of water greater chance of escaping from the liquid. So we can say that the rate of evaporation of a liquid can be increased by increasing the surface area of the liquid. Now let's talk about temperature. The rate of evaporation increases on increasing the temperature of the liquid. You can say that on heating, uh, the evaporation of liquid increases. So when the temperature of liquid is increased by heating it, more particles of liquid get enough kinetic energy again to go into vapor state. So this again increases the rate of evaporation. So we can say that the rate of evaporation can be increased by heating it, and it becomes maximum at the boiling point because the evaporation rate is higher there. Okay. Now next is humidity. Humidity of air. See, what is humidity? The amount of water vapors present in air is called humidity. Now, when the amount of water vapors present in air is small, the air appears to be dry, and we say that it's low humidity. Okay, but when the amount of water vapors in the air is large, then air appears to be damp, and we usually say that it's high humidity. So, humidity of air tells us actually the degree of dampness of air, how dry the air is, or how damp the air is. So, when the humidity of air is low, that means the amount of water vapors present in air is less, is small, then the rate of evaporation is high, and water evaporates more readily. And under these conditions, what happens? The sweat from our body evaporates readily, and we feel cool and comfortable, right? In fact, the wet clothes dry very quickly under the conditions of low humidity of air. But when the humidity of air is high, when there is a lot of water vapors present in the air, then the rate of evaporation is low. Water evaporates very slowly, and that happens in the later part of summer. The humidity of air increases. People, in fact, sweat a lot in such weather. But the sweat from our bodies does not evaporate readily due to high humidity. So, such weather becomes like damp, muggy. We feel hot and uncomfortable. And this type of weather is also experienced during cloudy days and rainy season, and in fact, in areas that are close to the sea, coastal areas. So, wet clothes, in fact, take a long time to dry when the humidity of air is high because already there are a lot of water vapors that are present in air. Okay, so the next factor on which evaporation depends, that is wind speed. So a rate of evaporation of a liquid increases with increasing wind speed. Now see, when the speed of wind increases, what happens? The particles of water vapor move away with wind, decreasing the amount of water vapor in the surroundings, and this increases the rate of evaporation of water. Okay, in fact, the washed wet clothes, they dry more quickly on a windy day. Why? Because the evaporation is faster due to the high speed of wind. Okay, so this was all about the evaporation and the factors upon which evaporation depends.